Motorcycles from the 1950s evoke nostalgia for some, but not every model from this era was beloved. In fact, some of these bikes were so poorly designed or problematic that they left a lasting negative impression. From awkward designs to unreliable engines, these motorcycles earned their place on the list of bikes that enthusiasts are glad to forget. But what were the key factors that made these motorcycles so unappealing? Join us as we explore these 13 worst motorcycles of the 1950s nobody wants back. Number 13. 1951 Harley-Davidson K Model. The 1951 Harley-Davidson K Model was introduced to offer a sportier option compared to the heavier Panhead models. It aimed to compete with the growing popularity of British motorcycles in the American market. However, despite its innovative features, it struggled to gain popularity among riders. The K Model was produced from 1952 to 1956. Harley-Davidson created this model to fill the gap between their heavier bikes and offer better handling and performance. One of its notable features was the hydraulic suspension on both wheels, which was a first for Harley-Davidson. It also had a unitized engine and transmission case, moving away from the separate cases used in earlier models. The K Model was powered by a 750 cubic centimeters engine, producing around 30 horsepower. While this engine improved handling, it did not significantly boost performance. The bike had a 4-speed transmission integrated into the engine case. This design aimed to reduce weight and save space, but did not greatly enhance overall performance. The K Model is considered one of Harley-Davidson's less successful models due to its underpowered engine and unconventional design. Although it had an advanced suspension and good handling, its performance was lackluster compared to British bikes. Its awkward looks and lack of power made it less appealing to riders, contributing to its reputation as one of the less desirable models in Harley-Davidson's history. Number 12. 1950 Cleveland Cycle Works Tornado. Cleveland Cycle Works, a company striving to make its mark in the motorcycle world, produced the Tornado in 1950. This model was part of their effort to provide a distinctive and sporty option for American riders. The Tornado was designed with a focus on both style and innovation. It had a streamlined body with an integrated headlight and fuel tank, features that were quite advanced for that period. However, these innovations did not make up for its fundamental problems. The Tornado came with a 500 cubic centimeter engine, which was modest compared to its rivals. This engine produced about 25 horsepower, a power level that did not meet the expectations of riders looking for high performance and reliability. The bike was equipped with a 3-speed transmission, a standard feature of the time, but it did not offer the smooth shifting experience that riders wanted. The main reason the Tornado is considered one of the worst motorcycles is its poor performance and frequent mechanical issues. Riders reported numerous problems with the engine and transmission, leading to a reputation for unreliability. The underpowered engine failed to deliver the performance needed to compete with other models available at that time. These combined issues made the 1950 Cleveland Cycle Works Tornado one of the least desirable motorcycles of its era. Number 11. 1951 Exle Model 48. Exle, a company known for making motorcycles, entered the motorcycle market with their Model 48 in 1951. They aimed to diversify their products and grab a slice of the growing automotive market. The Model 48 had a boxy design that was already seen as old-fashioned by the early 1950s. Its interior was simple and focused more on utility than comfort, lacking many modern amenities. Despite its basic nature, the truck did feature some notable innovations for its time, such as a strong steel frame and robust suspension system. Under the hood, the Model 48 came with a 2.5-liter inline-4 engine, which was roughly equivalent to 152 cubic inches and produced about 70 horsepower. This engine was considered much less powerful compared to its competitors, making the truck underpowered for both personal and commercial use. The truck was also equipped with a 3-speed manual transmission, which was standard at the time, but did not provide the smooth shifting experience that drivers were starting to expect from newer models. The 1951 Exle Model 48 is often considered one of the worst motorcycles of the 1950s, primarily due to its outdated design and insufficient power. While other manufacturers were introducing more powerful engines and modern designs, the Model 48 lagged behind. Its lack of power made it unsuitable for heavy-duty tasks, and its old-fashioned appearance did not attract buyers looking for a more up-to-date vehicle. Number 10. 1952 Indian Warrior. The Indian Warrior was made by the Indian Motorcycle Company, which decided to try its hand at building cars after World War II. The Indian Warrior was produced for a brief period in the early 50s, with the 1952 model being one of the few that reached the market before production ended. This truck was unique because it tried to merge motorcycle technology with automotive design. It featured a lightweight frame and a simple design, aiming to attract motorcycle enthusiasts who needed a utility vehicle. The 1952 Indian Warrior had a small engine, typical of the time for motorcycles. It came with a 1,300 cubic centimeter engine, which was quite weak for a motorbike. The engine produced only 40 horsepower, which was insufficient for the needs of a truck. This lack of power significantly limited its performance and usefulness. The truck was equipped with a basic 3-speed manual transmission, which was common at the time, but did not offer the durability needed for a utility vehicle. The main reason the 1952 Indian Warrior is considered one of the worst bikes is its poor performance. Using motorcycle technology in a truck led to a vehicle that was underpowered and unreliable. The company's lack of experience in making cars resulted in many mechanical problems, leading to its failure in the market. Number 9. 1953 HarleyDavidson KTT. The 1953 HarleyDavidson KTT was a racing motorcycle that belonged to the KR series, which was produced from 1953 to 1969. Initially, this bike was designed for flat-track racing, but the KTT model was modified for road racing by adding a streamlined fairing to improve aerodynamics. The KTT was introduced in 1953 to replace the WR model and was part of Harley-Davidson's push to dominate American racing, especially in the American Motorcycle Association's Class C racing. This motorcycle came with a 739.47 cubic centimeter air-cooled side-valve V-twin engine. It featured a unique fairing to enhance its aerodynamic performance, which was crucial for road racing. The engine had a displacement of 739 cubic centimeters and produced between 50 to 57 horsepower at engine speeds of 6,000 to 7,000 revolutions per minute. This amount of power allowed the KTT to reach speeds of up to 125 miles per hour, making it competitive during its time. The motorcycle was fitted with a 4-speed chain transmission, which was typical for racing bikes of that era. Despite its racing history, the 1953 KTT is often criticized for its outdated side valve engine design. By the 50s, overhead valve engines had become the standard due to their better performance and efficiency. The KTT side valve engine, though reliable, was less powerful and efficient compared to its OHV counterparts. This technological gap made the KTT less appealing to racers and enthusiasts, contributing to its reputation as one of the less favored motorcycles of the 1950s. Number 8. 1954 Panhead Chopper. The 1954 Harley-Davidson Panhead Chopper is a well-known example of mid-20th century American motorcycle culture. This bike, originally part of the Panhead series produced from 1948 to 1965, was converted into a chopper, a popular custom style in the 60s and 70s. The Panhead engine, named after its distinctive rocker covers, was first introduced in 1948 and remained in production until 1965. Specifically, the 1954 Panhead Chopper started as a 1954 Harley-Davidson FL model before being customized. The chopper featured a 1,200 cubic centimeters V-twin engine, which was typical for that era. It included several unique customizations such as a twisted Springer front end, rabbit ear handlebars, and a peanut fuel tank. The bike retained its original 6-volt electrical system and a mechanical rear brake. The Panhead engine had a displacement of 1,200 cubic centimeters and produced about 55 horsepower. This level of power was quite common for motorcycles at that time, offering a balance between performance and reliability. The bike came with a 4-speed transmission, which was standard for Harley-Davidson motorcycles of that period. Despite its classic appeal, the 54 Panhead Chopper is often criticized for its handling and reliability issues. The extensive customizations, though visually striking, often affected the bike's structural integrity and performance. For instance, the twisted Springer front end could cause unstable handling at higher speeds. Additionally, the 6-volt electrical system was prone to failures, making the bike less reliable compared to modern standards. Number 7. 1958 Harley-Davidson Super 10. The 1958 Harley-Davidson Super 10 was introduced as an upgrade from the earlier Hummer models, aiming to offer a more powerful and refined ride. Produced from 1958 to 1961, this lightweight motorcycle was designed to replace the Model 165 and the Hummer. Harley-Davidson intended for the Super 10 to be a competitive option in the growing lightweight motorcycle market. The Super 10 was equipped with a 165 cubic centimeters two-stroke single-cylinder engine, which was a step up from earlier models. It featured a basic design with a simple frame and suspension system. One notable improvement was the inclusion of a Teleglide front fork, replacing the rubber band suspension found on previous models. The engine's displacement of 165 cubic centimeters produced approximately 7 horsepower. This level of power was sufficient for basic commuting and light recreational use, but it was not enough to match the performance of more advanced motorcycles from other brands. The Super 10's 3-speed foot shift transmission was typical for lightweight bikes of that era, providing basic functionality. Despite these upgrades, the 1958 Super 10 received criticism for its performance and outdated technology. The two-stroke engine, while easy to maintain, was noisy and emitted excessive smoke, which detracted from its appeal. The bike's basic design and minimal features made it less attractive to riders who were seeking more sophisticated and reliable motorcycles. This combination of factors led to the Super 10 being considered less favorable compared to its more advanced competitors. Number 6. 1959 Kushman Eagle. The 1959 Kushman Eagle, made by Kushman Motor Works, was part of a scooter line that started in the late 30s. Introduced in the early 1950s, the Eagle was designed to look like a small motorcycle, aiming to attract younger riders. The Kushman Eagle was produced from the early 1950s until the mid-1960s. This model featured a tubular steel frame, a cushioned solo seat, and an enclosed rear section. It also had an inverted fork and drum brakes, which were considered quite advanced for its time. The Eagle's wide white wall tires added to its unique appearance. The engine of the 1959 Kushman Eagle had a displacement of 318 cubic centimeters. It produced about 8 horsepower at 5,500 revolutions per minute. The scooter came with a 2-speed transmission that was operated using a foot clutch and a hand-shift lever. Despite its unique features and nostalgic charm, the 1959 Kushman Eagle is often viewed as one of the worst motorcycles from the 1950s. Its 8-horsepower engine struggled to deliver satisfactory performance compared to other bikes of the era. The 2-speed transmission was seen as outdated and cumbersome, which made riding less enjoyable. Moreover, the Eagle required more maintenance than many of its competitors, contributing to its less favorable reputation. Number 5. 1950 Whizzer Sportsman. The Whizzer Sportsman, produced from 1950 to 52, represented Whizzer Motor Company's effort to create a sturdier and more appealing motorcycle. Whizzer, originally known for its motorized bicycle kits, decided to produce complete motorbikes with the introduction of the Sportsman model. The Whizzer Sportsman featured a robust Schwinn frame with 20-inch wheels, which marked a shift from the usual bicycle frame. Instead of pedals, it had foot pegs, a kickstarter, and a 2-speed bimatic transmission equipped with a centrifugal clutch. It also included a 6-volt alternating current generator for powering the lights. The engine had a displacement of approximately 138 cubic centimeters and produced about 3 horsepower. Despite these advancements, the Whizzer Sportsman is often remembered as one of the least successful motorcycles of the 50s. The engine's 3 horsepower was underpowered, which made it difficult to reach satisfactory speeds or handle hills effectively. The bimatic transmission, although innovative, was prone to mechanical problems and needed frequent repairs. These issues, combined with the relatively high cost of the Sportsman, contributed to its poor reputation among riders and collectors. Many found that its performance did not meet expectations, leading to a generally unfavorable view of the model in motorcycle history. Number 4. 1951 Indian Scout. The 1951 Indian Scout, made by the Indian Motorcycle Company, was part of a long history that began in the early 20th century. Introduced in 1920, the Scout became one of India's most famous models. However, by the 1950s, the company was struggling to regain its past success. The 1951 Scout was produced during a difficult time for the company, which was trying to recover after World War II. This model featured a 440 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, which was relatively small compared to other motorcycles at that time. It had a rigid frame and a telescopic front fork, which were common features back then. The bike also included a sprung solo seat and a unique tank design. The engine in the 1951 Indian Scout had a displacement of 440 cubic centimeters. It produced around 15 horsepower, which was modest for a motorcycle of its size. The bike came with a 3-speed transmission operated with a foot shift. The 1951 Indian Scout is often considered one of the worst motorcycles of the 1950s due to its poor build quality and reliability problems. Facing financial troubles, the company cut corners in manufacturing, leading to frequent mechanical failures and a lack of durability. Additionally, the 440 cubic centimeter engine was underpowered, especially compared to competitors, which made it less attractive to riders looking for better performance. These issues, combined with the company's declining reputation, led to the Scout being poorly received and deemed one of the least desirable motorcycles of the 1950s. Number 3. 1950 Harley-Davidson Model 125. The 1950 Harley-Davidson Model 125, also known as the S125 or Hummer, is often remembered as one of the less desirable motorcycles of the 1950s. This model was introduced in 1948 as Harley-Davidson's attempt to appeal to the post-war market by offering an affordable, lightweight motorcycle. The Model 125 was produced from 1948 to 1952 and was inspired by the German DKW RT125, a design Harley-Davidson acquired as part of post-war reparations. The bike was aimed at new riders and those seeking a simple, economical option. One of the distinctive features of the Model 125 was its front suspension, which used girder forks suspended by large rubber bands. The design was meant to be cost-effective, but often proved problematic. The rubber bands were prone to breaking and were challenging to replace, which made the suspension unreliable. The bike's engine was a 125 cubic centimeter two-stroke engine, producing approximately 3 horsepower. While this power output was adequate for its intended use, it significantly limited the bike's overall performance. The motorcycle came with a 3-speed foot-shift transmission, which was relatively advanced for its time, but did not make up for its other deficiencies. The primary reason the 1950 Harley-Davidson Model 125 is considered one of the worst motorcycles in the 50s is its unreliable front suspension. The frequent failures of the rubber band suspension system made the bike difficult to maintain and less reliable compared to its competitors. The low power output and basic design failed to meet the expectations of many riders, contributing to its poor reputation. Number 2. 1952 Indian Aero. The 1952 Indian Aero is often mentioned as one of the less favored motorcycles from the 1950s. Launched in 1949, the Indian Aero was part of Indian Motorcycle's effort to create a lightweight and affordable bike to rival British imports. Designed by G. Briggs Weaver, the Aero aimed to be a modern and efficient motorcycle for the American market. The Aero was manufactured from 1949 to 1952 and featured some notable aspects for its time. It had an overhead valve engine, which was relatively advanced then. Additionally, it was equipped with a telescopic front fork and plunger rear suspension designed to offer a smoother ride. The motorcycle was powered by a 220 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine, which delivered about 8 horsepower. While this power output was modest, it was sufficient for a lightweight bike. The Aero also came with a 4-speed transmission, a notable feature for motorcycles of that era. Despite these features, the 1952 Indian Aero is remembered as one of the worst motorcycles of the 1950s, mainly due to its reliability problems. The engine had a tendency to overheat and suffer mechanical failures, making it challenging to maintain and repair. The build quality was inconsistent, leading to frequent breakdowns. Competing with more reliable British motorcycles, the Aero struggled to gain a positive reputation and was eventually discontinued. And number 1, the 1956 Whizzer Pacemaker. The 1956 Whizzer Pacemaker is a motorcycle many enthusiasts prefer to forget. Whizzer started out in the late 1930s by making motor kits for bicycles. By the 50s, the company shifted to building complete motorized bicycles, with the Pacemaker being one of their key models. The Pacemaker was produced from 1948 to 1952, but the 1956 model is often highlighted due to its continued use and the reputation it earned. The Pacemaker was essentially an upgraded Schwinn bicycle, featuring a loop-style frame similar to that of a beach cruiser. It came with a magneto-powered headlight, a sprung solo seat, and a chrome fuel tank. The bike also had basic telescopic forks and coaster brakes. The engine was a 138 cubic centimeter flathead air-cooled type, which generated just 2 horsepower. The power was quite modest, even by the standards of the 50s. The Pacemaker utilized a belt and pulley system for its final drive, which was straightforward but not very efficient. This setup, combined with the underpowered engine, made the bike struggle to reach decent speeds. The belt and pulley transmission was also prone to slippage and needed frequent adjustments. Moreover, the overall build quality was poor, leading to many mechanical problems. These issues contributed to the 1956 Whizzer Pacemaker being remembered as one of the less successful motorcycles of its era. These 13 worst motorcycles from the 50s are a reminder of how far we've come in bike design and reliability. Which one surprised you the most? If you enjoyed this ride through motorcycle history, like, share, and subscribe for more content.